What the brain science is telling us is that when you're stressed out, your ability to store things in a short-term memory is gone. So stress impacts short-term memory. Huge concept when it comes to learning, right? That's why I call it the anatomy of learning. Give you a little more application to what this looks like and how we can start implementing this into real life. Unfortunately, I have some examples here that are showing how we've missed the boat throughout our schools. And again, I am not like pounding and harsh, going bad on schools. I just want you to show, I want to show how we've missed the most important factors about our kids. It says this young lady, she's 11 years old and she's tasered at school for punching an officer in the face. Now, all of us agree punching an officer in the face is wrong. That's not the debate. The debate is what happened beforehand. I always want us to step back and not look at the actual outcome. I mean, obviously this is wrong. But what happened all before that? What pieces were missing that pushed this child to that kind of edge? And our kids are capable of this. There's no doubt. I will never negate that this is not some drama. Our kids are indeed capable of this. However, if we look at this article, there's an important point here that's highlighted. It said the school, and this is actually the mother of this child. The mother is quoted to say, "The school knows pretty well that my daughter is like a 5-year-old." So what we missed here is that this child chronologically is 11, but developmentally, emotionally, socially, she's more like a 5-year-old. Now that's going to be a big difference on how we interact with a child. I mean, think about how you interact and we work with a kindergartner versus a 5th or 6th grader. Very different parameters, very different boundaries. And so there seems to be a miss here, how this child wasn't able to be supported around more her developmental age versus her chronological age. Here's another one, girl tasered at school. Unfortunately, I've got like a ton of examples of this. 6th grader tasered at middle school. 6-year-old student handcuffed. Parents file suit against the New Orleans school. And these are not just real extreme examples. If you go to Google, you will find this kind of stuff all the time. And now there are ways to test children, and we're going to actually talk more about the development of a child at their cognitive development, emotional, social, academic, their all the different spectrums on the developmental scale. But for you all, just on a general day-to-day basis, you all tell me, for the Billies that you're thinking about, that are either in your class or your kids at home, what's the gap? How do you know this? Just trust your gut. You kind of know this child probably functions at what level. My daughter is 21 years old right now, and I would say developmentally, she's probably still more of a 16 or 17-year-old. She's got a gap, and I still have to do things for her. I mean, she's at college, but do I still pay her bills and do some things that probably a 21-year-old would not need done, but a 16 or 17-year-old daughter would? So these are the things we have to put in the parameters. So we've got a 3-year gap here. And what I want us to do is break this down. You've heard, I'm sure, the difference between the left brain and the right brain. The left brain is more the logic, the reasoning. This is where language is processed. But also the right brain is in that neocortex, and that's more of the subconscious thinking. That's where we have our imagination. This is where music is processed, things that aren't language based. The right hemisphere is important to recognize that is the access point down into those lower parts of the brain, down into the limbic system, and then ultimately down to the brainstem or the reptilian brain. Now, what's important to see here is that traditional methods work where? They work at the left hemisphere. They work at the language level, where our kids are where? Oh yeah, they're over here. Missed the mark.